StrayAllDay.com.
Tune into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, there is more. You get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, including you, to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. What we do is put all this in one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show, one daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to continually improve, how to always be getting better. It seems that sometimes in life, many times in life, people seem to get to a certain point of growth. They're improving at some level in some ways, but then they just stop growing. They stop getting better. I like to think that I and you are exceptions to that. And I assume that everyone out there, at least if you're listening to a show called Work on Your Game, which is a self-explanatory title, that you want to always be getting better. You want to be in a state of continuous improvement in your life. So today we're going to lay out some principles for how you can make sure that you are always growing, expanding, getting better, working on your game, and adding to your game. Point number one, topic once again, is how to continually improve. Number one, focus on self-improvement over comparison. So instead of looking at what other people are doing and asking yourself, all right, how much food they have on their plate versus how much food do I have on my plate? We just talked about that, not looking at the food on another man's plate. Back in episode number, we talked about it in 666, but again, in masterclass number 1579, never look at the food on another man's plate. When you compare yourself or your situation to that of other people, one thing is you may already be better than the people in your environment. Maybe you're better than everybody around you. So when you compare yourself to them, you're like, oh, I'm already the best here. And that could just slightly, and maybe a whole lot, discourage you from even trying to get any better. It could cause you to fall into complacency because you're like, oh, well, I'm already better than everybody. If you look around and you see that you're better than people, then that might keep you from, why even have the drive to get better if you don't have anything to catch up to? If you're comparing yourself, if that's your frame of reference, who you're comparing yourself to. Thus, you won't better yourself. But if you focus on people who are above you, then, well, maybe it'll drive you to get better. Maybe. But maybe you'll say, damn, those people are so far ahead of me and they're so much better than me. They make it look so much easier than it feels when I'm doing it that I might as well not even try because I will never catch up to those individuals. So that could discourage you from even trying too because they're so far ahead of you that you don't think you don't see it as realistic, your ability to ever catch up. However, here's the best thing you can do. Just focus on yourself. Because when you focus on yourself, there's always room for improvement. Because first of all, you know the whole story of yourself. You don't know the whole story of the people who you're already ahead of. And you don't know the whole story of the people who are so far ahead of you. You have no idea what they had to do, where they began, what they've been through. You don't even know where they started. They might have started 10 times higher than they are right now. And they messed it up. They've screwed it up. But they're still ahead of you, but they have actually been going backwards the whole time. So you don't want to look at them as a frame of reference. They might be going backwards, and the people who are below you, they might have had to work 100 times harder than you just to get to the point where they're still 10 levels below you. But if you focus on yourself, there's always room for improvement because you can always be better than you are now. When I wrote my first book, for example, my first book is called Buy a Game. You can download it for free by going to workonmygame.com/BUYAGAME, Buy a Game. When I wrote my first book, I'd already written more than most people will ever write. So why write another book? After my first book was done, between my articles, blogging, emails, and that book, I had done more writing than most people ever do in their lives, even people who say they want to be a writer. So why did I write another book? Because it wasn't about comparing myself to other people. I wrote another book because I had more to say. Thus I came out with another publication. Then I had another one. Then another thing to say. Another thing to say. Another thing to say. And it's continued to go to this day. But it wasn't about me comparing myself to other people. When I was playing basketball, for example, I told the story that when I ended up not on my college basketball team during the middle of my junior year, I knew the way that I could prove that I should have remained on that team was I needed to get to the pro level. So I could say, all right, I ended up being better than all the players who were my teammates at that time. And when I did that, I still kept playing. I could have just played that 1 year of pro ball and been like, all right, I did it. I achieved what I said I wanted to do, which is prove I was better than these guys, which was done. Why keep playing? Because it wasn't about them. It was on some levels. I use that as motivation. But once I'm at that level, and once I even got close to the level, before I had actually achieved it, it was more about me. It's more about me again. What can I do? What's the best that I can be? How can I be better than I am right now? How can I go further than where I'm going right now? And this can sound very trite and cliche. All right, let me just be better than who I was yesterday. Let me just improve on myself and not focus on other people. But the reason that some things become trite and cliche is because they are true. They're based in truth. When you're comparing yourself to people who are beneath you, you may lose the drive to get better because of what you need it for. And if you're comparing yourself to people who are above you, you may not have the drive to get better because you might not think it's possible for you to get there. But if you compare yourself to you, how can I be just a little bit better than I was before? How can I improve on this process just a little bit? That's something that you are always capable of doing. When you compare yourself to other people, you don't know who those other people are going to be. You have no idea who's going to jump up really fast, really quickly. You have no idea who's going to drop off really fast, really quickly. You can't control what they're doing or how they're moving. And when you're looking at other people, you don't really know the full picture of exactly where they're at. You know what they're showing you about where they're at. Somebody seems to be 10 levels beneath you, but they might actually be ahead of you. It just seems like they're beneath you based on the angle from which you're looking at them. From their angle looking at you, they're the ones who think they're ahead. So you don't even know the full situation of what other people have going on. This is another reason why you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. Because even if you do know the full situation, again, do you know the background of how they ended up where they are? Did they start the same place that you started? Are they going after the same things that you're going after? So why are you comparing yourself to them if those answers are definitely no? Point number 2. Today's topic is how to continually improve in life. Number 2, if you do compare yourself to other people, if you must do this because we're human, you're going to do it, make sure you're reaching up instead of punching down. Translate it. Look for people who do and have what you want. And then strategize for how you can get to their level. Simple as that. Look for the people who already have the energy that you want to have, who are doing what you want to do and have already accomplished some things that you wish to accomplish. And then your strategy is to work backwards from where they are, what they've gotten, into how you could get there until you work back to where you are today and just ask yourself, all right, how do I actually get started and make this work? So you ask yourself a simple question: what would have to be true? All right, so if you got $1 and this person has $1,000, ask yourself, all right, for me to have $1,000, what would have to be true? Then when you get that answer, ask yourself, all right, for that to occur, what would have to be true? And keep asking it until you get back to the point that you can do something. You can actually take an action from your $1 position right now and get closer and actually get moving on that plan to get to 1,000. Ask people how they got to where they are. Now, you don't even have to figure it out and imagine on your own. You could ask them, hey, how'd you get to the level that you're at right now? Listen, you're at this level, level 8. I'm at this level, level 6. How'd you get there? What do I need to do? All right, how are you thinking? What kind of energy did you have to have? What strategies did you have to employ? What tactics did you have to use to get to where you're at right now? If you ask people, they'll usually tell you how they got to where they are. Look around online. I mean, people have books and articles and captions and podcasts and videos. They're already telling you how they've gotten to where they've gotten to, or you got people who are reporting on how certain people got to where they got to. At least we think they're reporting on it. Hopefully they're telling you some accurate information. You don't even need to ask. They're just telling you. Do this instead of a bad habit that causes you to plateau, looking at people who you're better than and growing complacent because you're already winning in comparison to them. Or looking at people who are above you and saying, I can never get there. All right, people who are better than you, if you have the positive enough mindset, but we should put that in as a disclaimer here, they will encourage you to improve and get better because they want company. Let me say that again. People who are at a higher level than you and they see that you're on the come up and you're trying to get there, you're trying to improve and work on your game and kind of get to where they're at, they want you to get better. They want you to improve. They will happily share with you what they know. They will happily put you onto the game and give you some things that you didn't know and just share information that you otherwise wouldn't have. Why? Because they want to see other people succeed. They want other people to get up to the level that they're at. So all you have to do when you see somebody who is ahead of you and you're in this mentality of continually improving, ask them. Be humble enough to ask a person, hey, how did you get to the level that you're at? Because I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to get muscles like you have. I'm trying to make the money that you make. I'm trying to have a business that you have. I'm trying to have a great relationship with my family the way you have a great relationship. I'm trying to get to where you're at. How did you do it? Can you help me out? Can you tell me how to do the same thing you're doing? They will happily tell you. I'm going to tell you something about asking another person for help. When you ask somebody for help or information, or you let them know that they have something that you want, you're putting them in a position of power. Because you're saying, look, you have the money, I don't have it, how do I get the money? Just by making that statement and asking that question, you're putting them in a position of letting them know that they have a status over you in some way, shape, or form. If somebody's faster than you and you run track, you say, man, how did you get faster? What kind of training do you do to get to the level that you're at? You're giving them status. You're letting them know that they have something and they can do something that you can't do. And every human being, no matter how egotistical they are, and not, of course, everybody's not wired the same, but every human being loves to have a feeling of status over other people. Some people, it matters. To some people, it matters more than to others, but everybody likes to have that feeling on some level. So you asking the question, how do you get to the level that you're at and how can I do it, is putting another person in a position of power, and people love to feel powerful. They will gladly accept that question and they will gladly give you the feedback that you ask for. But you must be humble enough to ask for it, but understand this is strategic humility. It's strategic in that, again, I just told you, you're putting them in a position of power. They will gladly not think that you're trying to manipulate them, and they'll give you the information that you want. And now you can use that to continually improve. And then when you get to their level, now you go find somebody who's a little bit above that, and you can ask them the exact same question, and they'll help you the exact same way. So people who are better are always looking for, they're looking at they want company. All right, everybody wants company. You know the saying is misery loves company. Listen, happiness loves company too. All right, people who are succeeding, success loves company as well. So it's not just misery that loves company. So be willing to ask the questions of people who have the success that you don't have. They will gladly share it with you because they want other people to get to the level that they're at, to share it with them. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to continually improve in life. Reinvent yourself. And I'm going to do a full masterclass on this very topic of personal reinvention very soon. But maybe at this point, all right, looking at where you're at and you're trying to continually improve, maybe you feel like, maybe you're listening to this right now because you're like, damn, I feel like I've done everything that I could possibly do in this space. I don't know what I can do to continually improve, right? I don't know where I go from this point. This is Michael Jordan in 1993. He had won 3 straight NBA championships, and he went and talked to his coach, Phil Jackson, and said to him, listen, I'm going to retire and go play baseball. And Phil Jackson obviously said, no, of course, he wanted to keep Michael Jordan on the team. It's Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan said, listen, to keep me here, you got to tell me, give me a challenge. Tell me some way that I can improve, some way that I can get better, something that I need to prove that will drive me to come back and play basketball again next season. And they couldn't come up with anything. He had already beaten everybody. He had proven himself as the best player in the world. Everyone agreed that he was the best player in the world. He had just won the championship 3 years in a row. What else did he have to prove? He didn't have anything else to prove. So he moved on. Michael Jordan reinvented himself from basketball player to baseball player. Right? That's what he did. So I'm telling you that to tell you this. If you feel like you have done everything that you wanted to do or everything that you could do in a certain area of life, you don't have to stay there. Continuous improvement does not mean you have to keep doing the same thing forever. You can do something different. If you want to go in a different direction and try something new, like Michael Jordan going from basketball, where he was the best player in the world, to baseball, where he was not the best player in the world, you can reinvent yourself that way and give yourself a brand new challenge. Nothing stopping you from doing that. You do not have to stay where you have always been. Give yourself permission to do something different. Find a new challenge where maybe you have to start learning all over again. You got to start from zero. And you got to develop a completely new set of skills, which Mike had to do in baseball. When I stopped playing basketball and I wanted to go into the business world, I knew some things about business. I understood some general principles. I had been selling products, but there were a lot of things that I had to learn. I had to start from zero. I was not in the top 1% when I began. I had to learn exactly what's going on in this game. How does this work? How does that work? I had to go through some trial and error, some growing pains. It was all part of the game, but it was a good challenge. It was a way for me to improve. And I added skills along the way. I kept getting better. I kept learning. I took some principles from the previous life and applied it to the current life. This is all just part of the game of continuous improvement. So understand, continuous improvement does not mean you must stay in the same lane. Finding a new challenge, learning all over again, developing a completely new set of skills, all of those are part of improving. Adding new skills and conquering new challenges makes you better. Would everybody agree? That every time you add a new skill or you conquer a new challenge, you've gotten a little bit better, at least a little bit better. Now you have new knowledge. You have a wider array of experience from which to draw, and you'll be a better conversationalist as you're going wider and not just deeper. You know about more things now. You've done more things. You become a more valuable person in the world simply because you know about more things than you knew before. Now, knowing a whole lot about one thing can make you valuable as well, but knowing a little bit about a whole lot of things make you valuable too. All right, so being that generalist, that jack of all trades type of individual is not a bad thing these days. All right, you can go a mile wide and an inch deep. You can go an inch wide and a mile deep. There are benefits, there are pros and cons of both. And I talked about this back in masterclass number 1254. The topic is inches and miles. Again, that's masterclass number 1254. Let's recap today's class, which is how to continually improve in life. You don't want to be a person who gets to a certain point, you hit a plateau and you just stop growing, because there's actually no such thing as stop growing. You're either growing up, getting better, or you're growing down. All right, you're going down into the earth, into the grave. So you're doing one or the other, building or destroying at all times, getting better or getting worse. How do you continue to get better? Number one, focus on self-improvement over comparison. When you compare, you might already be better than people and decide you don't need to work anymore. Or you might see people who are so far ahead of you, or at least you think they are, that you might as well not work because there's no way you'll ever catch up to them. But if instead you focus on yourself, there's always room for improvement because you know the full story of you. You know exactly how you got to a certain point, and you can always work on getting better at that. Whereas when you're comparing yourself to other people, you have no idea the exact story, the real details of how they got to where they are. And you probably don't even know where they actually are. You just know where you think they are. Number two, if you do compare yourself to other people, since you're human, reach up instead of punching down. In other words, look for people who already are being, doing, and having what you want, and strategize how you can get to their level. Even better, just ask them how they got to their level, and they will tell you. All right, look around online. People write books, they do podcasts, they have YouTube channels, they post on social media. What are they doing? For the most part, they're just telling you how they got to where they are, whether it's a thought process, whether it's something they actually did, whether it's a strategy, whether it's selling you a course. They're telling you how they got to where they are. Even though the saying is misery loves company, listen, success loves company too. So people who are successful will gladly tell you how they got there if you are humble enough to strategically ask the question. Number three, reinvent yourself. I'm doing a full episode on this one very soon. Maybe you've done all you could, or you want to do all you want to do in a certain area. You don't have to stay in that area just because you've done so many things there. You can move on. Find a new challenge where maybe you'll have to start learning all over again, develop a completely new set of skills. But listen, doing those things makes you better. New knowledge, new experience, all of those things make you a more valuable person no matter where you go in life. Work on your game. Dre all day.